Hey guys, welcome into episode 6 of First Base, bottom of the second with me, Taylor. Y'all, I told you in episode 1, I am from Sandwich, Illinois. Most people think it's a joke, but I'm not kidding. I'm really from the town of Sandwich, Illinois, as it says right here, a fair city. We are known for the Sandwich Fair, but it is where I grew up. It is my hometown, and I'm here for the week. So I thought that I would take you guys along with me to kind of see where I grew up, what it was like growing up in a small town in the Midwest, and show you some of my favorite spots of what made me who I am today. So let's get going. This is the sandwich sign. Since 1859, we've been in existence out here in Sandwich, Illinois, and let's go. I'm going to take you guys on a little trip with me. Right here behind me, we've got the sign for the Sandwich Fair. The Sandwich Fair is what Sandwich is known for. We have fairgrounds. It's one of the biggest fairs in the entire state. And it's pretty much just like your typical fair. Of course, amazing fair food, rides, antique showing, tractor pulls, all that fun stuff. And we always get a really good country artist every year. But I grew up going to the Sandwich Fair. But my favorite thing was always getting a corn dog at the fair. I wasn't a huge rider when I was younger. Now I've become a huge adrenaline junkie as an adult. So the last time I came to the fair was like 2 years ago, and I had to get tickets, and I rode almost every single ride because it was a blast. Now that I'm an adult, I was like, oh, I'm not scared to ride these fair rides anymore. So that was very fun. Last night we were actually here for a family friend wedding. So the Sandwich Fair is a staple in the sandwich community, and if you have not heard of the Sandwich Fair and you live in Illinois, you are living under a rock. So here it is, right across from the cornfields. Obviously, it's not fair season right now. That is in September. First stop, the high school. Here she goes. Mom's driving. Whoop, whoop.
To the high school we go.
Okay, so here is where I went to high school. Sandwich Community High School. Here we are at the Sandwich football field where my love of football began. Really, right through this area, here we are on the Sandwich High School track. And I promise you, this has not changed one bit. This is our football field right behind us. And I told you guys I competitively cheered pretty much my entire life, but I also sideline cheered all 4 years in high school for basketball and for football. So this is the exact track where I used to cheer and really where my love of football began, because we would stand here, watch the games, and when we would wait to do a cheer, this is where we'd stand. And I really started to learn the sport of football by watching a lot in high school and from my dad. He's a big football fan. So growing up, we watched a lot of Dallas Cowboys football. But when it came to really learning the sport and understanding the positions, the downs, all of that kind of stuff, it really came from cheering right here on this track at Sandwich High School and watching our football team play. All right, I'm wearing my little Sandwich High School Letterman's jacket, guys. I kind of want to show you the whole thing so you can see it. But here we have it. I had a lot of patches. I was really involved in school. So the whole thing, you guys can see it all. It's a little hot for me to still wear it, so I'm going to take it off. I thought I would sit and chat and tell you guys a little story while I'm down here at my high school football field. Thought I would tell you about our senior year and how our football team nearly made it to state. We were actually the closest Sandwich Indians football team to ever make it as far as we did. Senior year, I believe our team went undefeated during the regular season, and I will never forget our first playoff game was here against a team that was a lot bigger than us, from closer up to the Chicagoland area, and we blew them out of the water, and it was a home game here, so this was so exciting for the town of Sandwich. The fire department was crazy and caravanned us out of the school. The police cars were everywhere. Everybody was going nuts because it was huge that Sandwich won a playoff game. Our second game was against this town, Geneseo. And Geneseo was about the same size as us, but they were really, really good at football. And they always made it to the playoffs. They'd always make it close to state, or if not win state. We were already playing them in the second round. So everybody was very worried. We knew we were kind of the underdogs going into this game. But we knew that this was the best Sandwich football team we had put on the field ever. It was my grade. During this game, I remember it was tied 7-7 the whole way, neck and neck. The defenses were just playing their little hearts out. And then one of our stars on the offensive side of the ball, who was my crush growing up literally my entire life. I think from kindergarten all the way through senior year of high school, he was my crush my entire life. I don't think he ever really looked in my direction at all during school, although I do remember one time during senior year, it was a big deal if you got to wear like a football player's jersey on Fridays. That was the only time cheerleaders were ever allowed to wear jerseys and not our uniforms, was if we had a Friday night game. So the girls would get to wear the football uniforms. And I believe one time, one of my guy friends who was on the football team, he asked him for me if I could wear his jersey one day, and he did let me wear it. I don't even know if we spoke when we exchanged the jersey, but I was pretty excited about that. He never looked in my direction, but that's okay. He ended up getting injured in this game against Geneseo, and it was a blow to the entire town of Sandwich because we were like, oh my gosh, our leading scorer, the best player on our team, he's going down. But you know what happened? That propelled our team to win that game for him. It's down to the final seconds of the game and things are tied up, but we are within field goal range. Now, our kicker, this was his first year ever playing football, and they recruited him because he was a very good soccer player. And I actually don't know if Sandwich has soccer now. When I was in high school, I believe we only did my junior and senior year, and it was very, very small teams. Soccer wasn't super popular in Sandwich, but he played on the soccer teams. Very good kicker. I believe it was close to I think it was a 48-yard or 50-yard field goal. It was far, especially for a high school player to make. And we knew the chances of him making this were like slim to none, but everybody was just like heart stopped, holding our breath, fingers crossed. It was dead silence here in Sandwich up in the stands. And all of us cheerleaders, everybody, the entire town is just relying on this kid who's new to football to make this field goal to send us to the third round of the playoffs. Lo and behold, I'll never forget this moment. I don't think most people that are from the town of Sandwich will forget this moment. He made that field goal and it sent us to the next round of the playoffs. And it was like we won the freaking Super Bowl. We stormed the field. People went crazy. Geneseo was so confident that they thought they were going to win. They brought in their own stands for their crowds to sit and watch the game because that's how many people came for them. They were so confident they were going to beat us. And when that happened and we ended up winning the game, it was the best feeling ever. We ended up going on to play, I believe it was Mendota in the third round of the playoffs. We beat them, honestly, breeze too, with ease. Then it sent us to the game before state. Unfortunately, we lost that one, didn't make it to state. But that year, my senior year, being a part of all of that was, at that time for me, I remember thinking like, this is the coolest moments of my life that I've ever had. It was a really cool thing to see our entire community of Sandwich rally around this football team and push for them to make it to state, and the way that the entire town traveled and backed the football team, and to be a part of it here on the sidelines as a cheerleader was definitely a memory that I will never forget. And it's funny because now I work in sports and it still was a sports memory all along, already starting for me there at the age of 17. So this area is pretty much where I grew up, on these sidelines, on this football field right here. And I gotta say, I wouldn't trade it for anything. My mom says I gotta do a little cheer for you guys. So here we go. Ready? Okay. ATTACK. Indians, attack. Here's what I saw right here. This is what we would see. That's the little grandstand. And here's all the Sandwich bleachers. Good old Sandwich, Illinois. This is Bull Moose, aka the train car restaurant that everybody loves. It's been a million different things over the years, but right now it's Bull Moose, and it's been that for a little bit. All right, next stop on the Taylor's hometown tour of Sandwich. And first base is the Sandwich Opera House. This is a place where I spent so much time as a kid. So growing up, the Opera House was a huge area where I spent a majority of my childhood. When I was about 4 or 5, my mom grew up doing a lot of theater, and she was like, "You girls are doing theater," my sister and I. And she's like, "I'm getting you guys into theater classes." So we started doing summer theater camp every year here. It was 2 weeks long in the summers. And I started when I was little, and I became obsessed and grew such a love for acting and singing and dancing. And being in theater camp here at the Opera House, it inquired all of that. And to give you guys a little history on the Opera House, this actually used to be the city hall and where the jail was. So the bathrooms, you can actually like see the old jail cells. I wish we could get inside so you guys could see how stunning the actual Opera House is, the stage, the seats, all of it, because it's beautiful. This is a historical landmark. It was founded in 1878. So it's been around a very long time, but it's a gorgeous building and where I spent a lot of my childhood. I quickly learned that I was actually pretty good at the singing, the acting, and the dancing. And I got several lead parts over the years. And if I had to pick my favorite, though, my mom and I were just talking about this and thinking about it. I had a role, I think it was 5th grade. I was the head of a biker club. So I was in total like motorcycle biker gear, the leather. I remember I wore this red like halter top and it had like these rhinestones. And I was the head of this biker club in this musical play that we did. And I was the lead and it was really fun. And my best friend growing up, Dylan, one of my family best friends, we did the show together and he was big into theater too. So it was so fun to do it with him. And we always had a blast here throughout the summers. And it was actually probably the first area too where, I had my first boyfriend came out of theater camp. Actually, when I was in 8th grade, we were doing Shakespeare's Coming to Calamity Creek. I remember the show. I had a great part in that show too. And there was this boy from Plainfield, which is a town close over, sort of ish by to Sandwich, but he came every summer for theater camp. And we hit it off, as you would say. So we started like, we would go to the movies together, like our group of theater friends, or we'd go to the Yum Yum shop. That was the ice cream spot here in Sandwich. After we would be done with rehearsals and we'd get ice cream together and stuff with all of our friends. And finally, one of the days, he asked me to be his girlfriend. And I remember, I was like, oh my gosh, I had my first boyfriend. Being my first boyfriend, he was so cute. He was like the it boy in theater camp. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, whatever. While I was in 8th grade, we started dating. It was the second night of our performances. So we had 2 nights of performances. And on our second night, I remember I was like, oh my gosh, I was going into high school. And I kept thinking like, maybe my first boyfriend was going to give me my first kiss. So I actually remember, I'm like, come on, we're going to move over here a little bit. Come over here. Right where I had my first kiss. He was standing right there. I was standing right there. And it was a little tiny little peck. And I remember afterwards he said, oh, your lip gloss is really sticky. And that was where I had my first kiss, right outside the wonderful, beautiful Sandwich Opera House. Welcome to Lake Holiday. This is my grandma and grandpa's beautiful back deck and another spot where I grew up here. We have a special guest for the next part of the pod. We are down here at my Noni and Papa's dock on Lake Holiday, and Lake Holiday is a huge part of my childhood and a huge part of Sandwich. It's a lake that exists here in Sandwich. There's a Salmonock side and a Sandwich side, and my Noni and Papa have lived on the Sandwich side for as long as I can remember. And boating, swimming, being on the lake was just part of my everyday childhood. I always say that my happy place, if I had to go back to a specific memory, is riding on the boat with my Noni and my Papa, my family, my cousins, and us tubing, skiing, swimming at the dam, being on the water. It was just the best and always the best summer days that we had here in Sandwich. Don't you agree?
I so agree.
I so agree.
I so agree. There she is, the knowns.
Noni, come down. Here
Wearing
she
her
comes.
good vibe sweatshirt.
Good vibe sweatshirt. I thought we would tell a little lake story while we're here, Mom. I feel like you should tell the lake story.
So we were out on the boat with my parents, and the girls had some friends along with them, and we were just booking along, having a good old time, and then all of a sudden we run out of gas and the boat dies. So we're like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? So
I remember us kids were in a panic.
they were
we were
little,
younger,
so they were in a
freaking
panic.
out
They
a little
really
bit.
didn't know
How
what
are
was
we
going
gonna
on.
get back?
So we're like, well, I guess we need to just like jump in the water and start pulling the boat in. So luckily we weren't super, super far away. So that's what we did. We jumped in the water. We got alongside the boat.
And we all started pulling the boat. We swam and we pulled the boat all the way back to the dock.
Yes.
Some of my favorite things, though, too, growing up. So me and my cousin Austin, he was the oldest boy out of our cousins, and then my sister Kylie. The three of us were like the closest in age of the older cousins at the time. And coming here to Noni and Papa's was like our favorite thing. Noni used to do this thing where we could get rocks. We'd go down to the bottom and we'd throw rocks up, and she'd give us a nickel for every rock that we'd throw up and get it out of the waterway here at the dock, and we'd have to throw it up into the landscape. So that was one of our favorite things. We'd also call the waves and they'd come in. Remember the biggins?
Yeah.
We used to say the biggins are coming. When a boat would go past, we'd be so jacked. And then Noni over here, Noni, come get in it. Come get it. She goes, I don't want to get it. She's too nervous. We used to do jumping contests all the time too. So Noni would judge us. We'd run, jump off the dock. I was known for the pencil jump always, but we do different types of jumps. And we'd have everybody judge us on all of those. So that was always really fun. And tubing, skiing, being down at the lake was just one of our favorite things while we were little. And we also used to do this thing called the Pirates, the three of us, Austin, Kylie, and I. And we would get these sweatshirts on that were Noni and Papa's from when they lived in Ottawa, and they said the Pirates across them. And we made it like our little gang, our little group. And we'd go on missions. And the missions were basically outdoor activities, basically scaling these back areas of the lake, trying to get into different neighbors' yards. We were such weird children, honestly, for doing that. That was so weird of us. But we would go do this and we'd be like, our mission is Red Barn. That was always the hard mission to do. So we'd get ready and we'd scale like the back of the lake area and try to get down to the house that looked like a red barn. We did accomplish the Red Barn mission eventually over the years, but the biggest part of it was trying to get past all the parents that were inside, because they'd see us and they'd be like, Noni come out and be like, what the heck are you guys doing? We'd be doing some weird thing, climbing, jumping around, all kinds of pirate stuff. We were doing pirates missions. That was always a big thing here at the Bansal Lake, was pirates missions all the time.
Also, another really cool thing is they have incredible fireworks out here on the 4th of July. So people from all over will come and watch the fireworks because they are just incredible.
Yeah, and I think my first time I can ever remember being scared in my life happened on this dock, too. I was 2. I remember I was wearing a Beauty and the Beast nightie, like a little nightgown, and all of even our extended family were here. So my great aunts, my second cousins, everybody was here, and we were all down here on the dock swimming, and well, everybody else was swimming. I was little, but I was looking over. I've always liked water, though. I was always a big water. I love to swim. I love being in water still, but I was little. I was leaning over by the rail of the ladder and I, boom, went in head first, and I obviously could not swim. And my great aunt had to jump in and she got me and saved me. But I do remember being little and I'm looking up, trying to get air because I couldn't get over. I was like, holy cow. I can still vividly remember looking up and thinking, holy cow, in the water, what the heck is going on? Thankfully, I did not drown. She got me and I was fine, but I did fall in. I remember my life flashed before my eyes at 2 for the first time ever. I was like, whoa, I was actually pretty scared of the water. So that was a wild time.
Yeah, but you overcame that.
I did. My mom here, I feel like we got to talk a little bit, Kimmy, and tell everybody that my mom just retired. 34 years of teaching here in Sandwich.
I taught first grade for 12 years and then kindergarten ever since. Then same school, Left college in 1990, started my first job and never left.
That's why I'm actually home on this trip is for her we had a big retirement go away party for her and everything like that. So she's starting the next chapter. What do you think you're going to do, Kimmy?
I think I'm going to come visit you more.
She's going to come visit me more for sure.
Yep.
What else? What other activities? We are going to Spain, so that's going to be big.
Yep.
She just told me today if she loves Spain, she wants to travel more.
I do.
So that'll be on the list.
Yep. And I want to learn how to play pickleball.
She does. Pickleball. That's both on our thing. So we've been talking about that. We want to pick up pickleball. We want to learn pickleball. Yesterday, we were at a family friend wedding and everybody was asking her, what are going to be your hobbies?
Yeah.
I know. You're going to have to pick up some hobbies.
Like,
new things.
Yeah. Pickleball, travel. I love to read. Taylor and I love
we do love to read. We're reading a book right now.
Yeah.
What is that book that we're reading right now?
I don't remember the title.
The Last You've Seen Me or
Yes.
something. It's by John Mars.
Yes.
I do remember that, but we're reading that right now. We try to read books together here and there. We'll do little books and then we'll read it and talk about them. She likes thrillers too.
Oh
so
my God, my favorite.
it goes perfectly. But this is a little view of what the Lake Holiday sandwich side of the lake looks like. And it hasn't changed much, but it's still just as great as it was. And it's the perfect area to spend summer. So it was always the best.
Yeah.
Here we are at the local watering hole in Sandwich. This used to be called Don's. Now it's the Old Time Inn. They are known for their delicious cheeseburgers. So I'm going to go in, tell you guys a little story about my rebellious times of my youth and eat a cheeseburger with me. Give us a wave. Noni, give us a wave. Uncle Keith, give us a wave. Dad, give us a wave. All right, sitting inside Old Time Inn, trying my big burger with the fam. It's so good. I thought while I sit here, I'll tell you guys about my most rebellious times as a kid living in Sandwich. Although I was a very, very innocent kid. I always tell my parents they are the luckiest because my sister and I were angel children. We never did anything wrong. The craziest thing we ever did is this story. I was in high school. I could not drive yet. My sister and I were best friends with our two neighbor boys growing up. They were our family best friends. The four of us decided that we really wanted McDonald's. It was a half day of school. It was in the middle of winter too. And we couldn't drive yet. But Dylan, the oldest out of the four of us, he had his permit. But none of us could actually drive without a parent in the car with us. We really wanted McDonald's and Sandwich. McDonald's and Subway, those are the only two fast food restaurants that you're going to. Subway was close enough for us to ride our bike. It was the dead of winter, so we weren't going to ride our bikes. And McDonald's was a little bit further. You had to drive to it. The four of us concoct a plan while we're sitting at our house that Dylan was going to drive our Jimmy, our old white Jimmy that we had, and him and Kylie took all of our orders and wrote it down. And the two of them were going to drive to McDonald's. Wyatt and I were a little nervous about this idea and really didn't want to do it. But if they were going to go, I was like, give me 2 cheeseburgers. And I remember Wyatt saying, I'm not for this plan. I don't think we should take the Jimmy. I don't think we should drive. But if you're going to go, I'll take a cheeseburger and fries. So Wyatt and I stayed behind, got the money ready to go, give it to my sister and to Dylan. And the two of them drive the Jimmy to McDonald's. They get to McDonald's. They're ordering the food. And this is what happens when you live in a small town. My papa, who's actually sitting right next to me right here, happens to be in McDonald's at the same time as that. And he asks them, oh, what are you two doing here? They tell him, oh, we're just getting food. He didn't really think much of it at the time. They were panicking in their heads that my papa just saw saw them at McDonald's. They get home with the food. We all enjoy it. And we're so excited that we ate this McDonald's and we got away with this whole little feat of being rebels and driving without a license to McDonald's. That day, unfortunately, there was an unfortunate event that happened. There was a big shooting up at Northern Illinois University that day. And my papa happened to call my mom to talk to her about it. And he was telling her about he's like, did you see everything going on in the news? Yada, yada, yada. Then at the end of the conversation, he goes, oh, yeah, I ran into Kylie and Dylan today at McDonald's. And my mom's just talking to him like, oh, yeah, like they had a half day of school, whatever. She didn't say anything to my papa on the phone at the time. They hang up, though, and my mom's brain must have immediately went to, I gotta go get the girls. So I remember all of a sudden her yelling down from her bedroom, girls, get out here. And my sister and I come to the landing because our bedrooms are upstairs in our childhood home. We're standing there. And my mom goes, did you two go to McDonald's today? And immediately, I can't lie, crap. So immediately I look at her and I go, we did it. And I start crying and I go, we took the Jimmy. We did it. We got McDonald's. So I ended up telling my mom the entire story that we took the Jimmy, one of our cars that we had at the house. Dylan drove, Kylie went with, Wyatt and I waited, but we all ate the McDonald's. Kylie and I got grounded for a week. We had no cell phones. We weren't allowed to hang out with our friends. And then she called Dylan and Wyatt's mom, who was her best friend, and explained to her what the boys and what my sister and I decided to do. So the most rebellious thing I ever did was technically order, because I didn't even go on the car for the drive, but drove without a license to get McDonald's at our only fast food place we really had when we weren't supposed to. That was my big rebellious, crazy story. I was such an innocent kid. I never did anything. I told you guys, if you watched episode 1, I was really into my academics, into my extracurriculars in high school. And I never partied. I never did anything like that. So the fact I'm even in my local watering hole, I don't think I ever came in here for the first time, and probably until I was probably 22 or 23 of age. I'm sure other people around Sandwich were more rebellious than me and got invited to parties and did fun things like that. But I was not part of the cool crew. So I am only here at Old Time in my actual of age times being here. To close out this episode of First Base, of course, we are going to do some Taylor's topics. So let's get started. Taylor's topic number 1 for this week is going to be John Cougar Mellencamp, the song I was born in a small town. Love that song. Love John Cougar Mellencamp. And whenever I'm back in Sandwich, that song just reminds me of home and being here in a small town, eating in a small town, living in a small town, getting to see how much you hope that things change. But really, I come back and things just stay the same. And I love being here. Love being a part of it. And honestly, John Cougar Mellencamp, he's a Taylor's topic of all time because I love John Cougar Mellencamp. Hurts So Good. It's like one of my all-time favorite songs. So that is part of the list. Ooh, also I'll add in there, since it's another similar song, Casey Musgrave's Dime Store Cowgirl also always reminds me of home. So 2 small town songs are part of number 1 of Taylor's topics. Number 2 is going to be Sports Illustrated swimsuit. Now, if you are not paying attention on social media, if you live under a rock, Sports Illustrated swimsuit show was this past weekend. I watched the whole thing. Alex Earl opened the show. Sandra was in it, which if you know about TikTokers and you know that they used to have a friendship, people were wondering if there was going to be some drama there. Then, of course, all the other models. I just love what Sports Illustrated Swim does nowadays with incorporating so many pop culture icons, people and women of different ages, beauties, body types. Everything that they do is just so cool and interesting to me. I'm obsessed with creeping all their social media. And, of course, I had to watch the show. And the fact Alex Earl got the digital cover this year was just so cool because I'm a big Alex Earl girl. So Sports Illustrated Swim is in, and if you have not looked at it, you need to go look at the issues of this year. You know, I feel like that's a dream of every girl, is to be a part of Sports Illustrated Swim as I eat french fries. So, my last Taylor's topic for the day is going to be family. I'm here, obviously, this weekend for my mom's retirement. Like I talked about, she taught 34 years in the same school here in Sandwich, Illinois. And she's literally like a pillar of the Sandwich community. I can't walk around anywhere without hearing that I'm Kim Mathis's daughter. So being a part of Sandwich is knowing my mom, being a part of the Woodbury School, and everything we have going on here. And when I come back, it's my time I get to spend with my family. We're here at Old Time Inn right now. I got my papa, my noni, my mom, my dad, my Uncle Keith's working. We're all hanging out. It's one of my favorite things to do, and it's very therapeutic for me to come back here and get out of the Scottsdale scene every once in a while. So what can I say? As much as I wanted to get out of Sandwich, Illinois, I still love it. Thank you guys for tuning in to episode 6 of First Base. I hope you enjoyed my hometown Taylor edition of getting to know where I grew up and getting to see a little bit of Sandwich, Illinois. If you are listening to this episode, please subscribe anywhere you listen to your podcast. But I advise you to watch this episode because it's so much better with the visuals, so you can get an actual idea of what Sandwich is like. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.